Hi, everyone. Welcome to 2023. My name is Kirk Bachman, and welcome back to The Ultimate Dish. Today, I'm speaking with Patrick Nuzzo, doctor of naprapathic medicine, nutritionist, and author. Dr. Nuzzo was instrumental in the passing of the Naprapathic Practice Act of New Mexico, allowing naprapaths to practice in the state of New Mexico. He has opened 5 successful naprapathic practices, including the Southwest University of Naprapathic Medicine and Health Sciences, an accredited institution. Dr. Nuzzo has developed several lines of nutritional supplements for the natural foods industry, including a sports nutrition line for former NFL great Walter Payton. He has also developed products for Kraft, General Foods, and Anheuser-Busch. Join me today as I chat with Dr. Nuzzo about the benefits of naprapathy as an alternative medicine, opening Southwest University of Naprapathic Medicine, and what he sees as the future of health and nutrition. And there he is. Good morning, my friend. Happy New Year.
Good morning, Kirk. It is so good to see you and be with you and reconnect with you after all these years. Happy New Year to you.
I was trying to do the math the other day. It's a little bit over a decade, when I was in New Mexico with you, but you haven't aged.
It's longer than
all.
that. It's long.
Is it? See, my memory's going. See,
yeah, it's long because my son wasn't even born yet. Kirsten was pregnant at the time. So it was 15 years ago, Kirk.
Oh my goodness, 15
years ago. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, the years have been kind to you. I'm so excited. I am so beyond excited. It's going to be hard for me to focus on the agenda today. But first and foremost, you mentioned, how is Kirsten? How's Jackson? Did you guys have a great holiday?
Everybody's great. Jackson is 15 years old. He's a freshman in high school. He's got his permit driving. Kirsten's being a great mom that she is, and things are good, Kirk. Things are really good. Thanks.
I love it. I love it. So great to see you. As I was thinking about chatting, obviously we're going to talk a lot about health and medicine and inflammation and stuff today, but I couldn't resist before we dive into our primary subject here. You reside, for our audience, in New Mexico, and remind me, outside of Albuquerque.
I'm in Santa Fe.
You're in Santa Fe.
My office in the school is right in the middle of Santa Fe, and my house is about 10 miles north.
So it was real easy. Land in Albuquerque, drive to Santa Fe. Got it.
Right.
And I love the area. I was in Taos a couple of years ago a year ago with my daughter, and I'm probably jumping ahead too quickly, but I've got to talk about right off the bat a little bit about the cuisine in New Mexico specifically. You've been there for a while now.
Yeah.
What's your typical go-to in that region?
It's the chili. I love the chili here. I make a chili every week. I make a meat-based chili, with green and red chili powders, and it's just so flavorful. And it's kind of my staple. It's one of the things that I eat every week throughout the week. I'll make a big pot of chili. I made a big pot of chili yesterday. And I'll eat it throughout the week as my soup or a little bit of side dish, but it's always there. So
I love that.
I gotta say I love it. If you've never been here in the fall when they're roasting the chilies, it's amazing. Yeah. The smells and the aromas around here are just crazy during the fall.
We have one restaurant here in Boulder called Santos, which is operated by Jose Rosenthal, who was a winner on Top Chef, and it is authentic New Mexican cuisine, and it's a really beautiful place to go. I believe that the last time I was with you at the house, when Kirsten was pregnant with Jackson, that you made chili, but you used to put this little oil. I just remember these little vials that really kicked it up. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think it's the chili oils.
The chili oils, yeah.
So you get them at the farmer's market here, and these guys extract, the green and the red chilies, and I saute my veggies or my onions and everything in those chili oils, and then the meat on top of it. So that's a great memory, Kirk.
No, and I remember you had, and it was a tough swallow, right? Because you had us, from a health perspective, drink that with water. I mean, like straight up. And it was like, whoa, I mean, a
Well,
little
now,
bit.
Kirk, now that was a little different
Oh,
concoction.
I knew
Kirk,
we can't talk
that
about
was
that today.
that
Yeah.
was my home cold and flu remedy that we make out of the yard. I get out the echinacea and the garlic and the
That's what I'm
oregano. Right.
remembering. Yes.
That's the cold and flu season that we make. Yeah,
I
yeah,
I
yeah.
I haven't
And that's
felt
an alcohol extract.
yeah, I haven't felt that great in a long time. But truly though, Patrick, I love classic New Mexican cuisine. My understanding is that um that the region you're in has primarily been known for its fusion of Pueblo Native American cuisine. So your corn, your beans, your squash, right? Blended with Spanish and Mexican / New Mexican cuisine. From the
Right.
Spanish, we got the livestock, the dairy products, the cheese, which is still part of that cuisine. And then the Spanish also brought, you just named it: garlic, olive oil, cinnamon, coriander, rice,
Right.
all of which are still cornerstones of Mexican / New Mexican cuisine. I I love to tell the story that when I was a young cook in Southwest Colorado, I was obsessed with Southwest cuisine. People may not remember, but in the 80s and 90s, giving away my age there, you had Mark Miller Coyote Cafe in Santa Fe. You had Dean Fearing, the mansion on Turtle Creek in Texas. Robert Del Grande in Houston, Cafe Annie. Cafe Annie. I just loved it, and I always remember the story. Back then we didn't have the internet. Really giving the age away now, right?
Yeah.
So you collected every magazine you could possibly get, went to the library, got books, and Food and Wine was a staple back then. Food and Wine magazine, right? And I'll never forget they did a big feature on Southwest cuisine, and on the cover was some sort of chile or a grilled item. But the coolest thing in the world, they took all kinds of herbs and spices: rosemary, thyme, oregano, and they wrapped it with some twine and threw it on top of whatever that entree was. Patrick, I carried that magazine cover around with me for a decade.
Did you?
It was my inspiration. Southwest cuisine,
Yeah.
Southwest
Yeah.
cuisine. In fact, this takes me way back. I was working at a Westin hotel in Portland, Oregon, for a Swiss chef. I was so obsessed with Southwest cuisine that I talked him into putting a lobster enchilada with a beautiful mole on the menu, and he did. And he did. Now the staff like that more than the clientele, but that's neither here nor there. But hey, we're here to talk about naprapathy today, and we're not talking about naturopaths
Right.
or anything else. We're talking, from what I understand, about a practice that focuses on the connective tissue of the body, and it's very
Absolutely.
different than anything else that we've talked about in the past. It's kind of an alternative medicine, but can you just take us from the top? What
Yeah,
is
let me
naprapathy?
take you right from the start, because see, naprapathic medicine is connective tissue manipulation. And naprapathic medicine started right alongside chiropractic medicine back in the early 1900s. The founders were actually together. D.D. Palmer started chiropractic medicine, and Oakley Smith started naprapathic medicine. Well, back in the early 1900s, Oakley Smith was a medical pathologist working at the University of Iowa. And D.D. Palmer had his school in Davenport, Iowa. And D.D. Palmer reached out to Oakley Smith because Oakley was interested in the manual therapies. He reached out to Oakley Smith as a pathologist to try to prove the subluxation theory of chiropractic medicine, because that's basically what chiropractic medicine is based on. The subluxation theory is the malalignment of the bony structure and the falling out of alignment of the bony structure. Well, Oakley Smith came in and actually disproved the subluxation theory, which created a rift between the two of them, and they moved apart. See, Oakley Smith wrote the book Modernized Chiropractic that D.D. Palmer built the entire chiropractic profession on. And Oakley Smith's belief was it's actually the connective tissue, the ligaments, when tightening down, pull bony structure out of alignment. They don't fall out of alignment. And in order to bring them back into alignment, you have to treat that connective tissue that's pulling it out of alignment versus just forcing the bony structure back into alignment. So it is a longer treatment. It's a more specific treatment. Oakley Smith developed a science called chartology and chartosis, which is taking findings on the spine. And based on those findings, you then design a treatment to correct the spinal malalignments. And really, as a school and as a profession, my mission in the school is to grow the profession, but we need to do that by proving the science of naprapathy as well. And Oakley Smith has got a treasure trove of books out there on this chartology and chartosis. And we have within the school, the Naprapathic Research Foundation, and we are working on that science to bring that science to the forefront. So really, medicine right now will accept manual therapy as a very, very solid component of taking care of people. Taking care of people's aches and pains.
Let's back up just a tiny bit and from a pragmatic perspective, because that's a lot to absorb there, right? So I can remember, let's call it 20 years ago, when you treated me in Lake Zurich, Illinois, and for me, I didn't have pain or I didn't seek you out for fixing something. For me, it was more preventive, right? I wanted to feel great. So for our listening audience, kind of walk us through. So I'd come to your office in Lake Zurich, and literally I felt like it was kind of like a massage therapy session in a weird kind of way for the graphics, right? And so walk through what a typical sort of session might be. For me, it was a half hour, and I felt I could slam dunk when I got through with one of those sessions, right?
Yeah. Well, it is a half-hour session. A naprapathic treatment is a full half-hour session. We work the entire body, but we concentrate on areas of complaint. All right. So you didn't have a lot of complaint, but, stress is a big factor in our well-being.
Yeah.
Repetitive motion is a big factor in our well-being, So as you have people come into the office, you're going to find tension patterns based on sleeping positions, sitting positions, working positions, right?
Okay.
So a naprapathic treatment is all about anti-inflammatory medicine. We increase circulation, we decrease inflammation, we increase range of motion, right? So there's three forms of connective tissue. Connective tissue is ligaments, which hold bone to bone, tendons, which hold muscle to bone. But the most prevalent connective tissue is called fascia, or interstitial tissue. So there's a layer of muscle, there's a layer of fascia. There's a layer of muscle, there's a layer of fascia. And for you chefs out there, the fascia is the gray matter in between the layers. It's the skin. Or you look at the chicken, you see the gooey stuff in between the layers. That should be viscous and gooey. And when you're moving your head or you're moving your shoulder, those muscles should roll over that viscous fascia. Stress, dehydration, sitting positions, sleeping positions tend to dry that fascia out. And when that fascia dries, layer to layer of muscle glues. And when you're moving, it doesn't glide over, it acts like a fulcrum and then pulls bony structure out of alignment. So as a naprapath, we are trained to seek and find tension. And tension is what I would always find on you. Even though you didn't have anything that was bothering you at the time, we would always find those areas that were patterns that would put you out of alignment. And that's how you prevent things from hurting, right?
I'm feeling better just listening to you. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling looser. No, but that was brilliant, actually, Patrick, and not even scripted or rehearsed, right? So I love that visual so that people understand. Silver skin is what we call that little layer. Yeah. Beautiful analogy. So what, Patrick, attracted you to naprapathy as a practice, as a study?
Yeah. Well, I was blessed. My uncle was a naprapath. My uncle studied with Oakley Smith. So I grew up around somebody who was really influential in my life that I loved. And he was my doctor. If I didn't feel good, I would go see my uncle and get a treatment. And he would give me herbs and he would tell me what foods to eat. So I've lived this lifestyle, my entire life, Kirk. I'm 69 years old and I've never taken a prescription medication in my life, Kirk.
Unbelievable.
And I don't really plan on doing that anytime soon.
Well, I appreciate that transparency. And I only ask that question because so many people that I speak to on the show and in life that are involved maybe around the peripheral of alternative medicine or have found other ways to heal have had life experiences that sent them in search of other, right?
Right.
Which I love. I promised my daughter Kirsten, who ironically another Kirsten.
Yeah.
She's a physical therapist in the Northwest. She loves her practice, and I promised her I would ask again just for a visual, so that people can really understand, how does physical therapy differ? How does it fit in? How do they complement each other, the two practices?
Well, physical therapy is very complementary. But what the biggest difference between naprapaths and physical therapists is we do spinal manipulation. Okay, our focus in the body is spinal manipulation. We work the connective tissues to bring the spine into alignment. Okay. Physical therapists help rehab, get people back from surgeries, help people get back from injuries. Wonderful practitioners, but they're not going back to the spine to align the spine, because it's like people ask, well, what's the difference between a naprapath and a massage therapist, or a naprapath and a chiropractor? Well, okay, a naprapath works through the soft tissue to get to the bony structure and bring alignment. A massage therapist, if somebody has a spasm, they'll work on the spasm, they'll work on the muscle and try and get the muscle released. They don't go back to the spine to adjust the spine to get that spasm that started off of the spine to release. A chiropractor just finds the malalignments and does the adjustments without the soft tissue work, right? So a naprapath works soft tissue, and then it works bony structure to bring alignment. Very similar to the physical therapist. The physical therapist is working soft tissue with ice, with heat, with exercise, rehabilitation. Spinal alignment is what's not within the physical therapy practice. And as a matter of fact, we target physical therapists in our education. They can become a doctor of naprapathic medicine and a connective tissue specialist in 18 months. Mostly online with some immersive weekends, but to add a relevant spinal manipulation component to their practice, they can become a doctor of naprapathic medicine as well.
So it's so interesting. So a few of my notes, right? Working the soft tissue, pretty clear there. Rehabilitative exercises, postural counseling. I feel like I need to sit up straight just talking to you, right? Yeah. The use of in the book, and we'll get to the book in a bit, the use of effective properties of heat, cold, light, water, radiant energy, electricity, sound, right, air. We'll get to nutrition in a minute, but can you talk about maybe posture and then some of these other effective properties, how that impacts how a person feels?
Yeah.
Inflammation.
We'll go by posture first, right? Okay. Everything in the body moves through neurovascular bundles, nerve, lymph, blood. Branch off the spine, take that nerve, lymph, blood to every part of your body. If you're slouching, if you're, in bad positions, you're not giving the body the ability to do its job, right? You're by slouching and not having good posture, you're actually kinking the hoses, right? Those neurovascular bundles. So by standing straight and having a good posture, you're getting good, circulation, good energy. You mentioned radiant light and heat and ice. Those are all parts of our scope of practice as a naprapath, okay? We're able to use light and heat and air and sound, as different healing techniques, right? There's a lot of different machines, ultrasound machines, infrared machines, laser machines that you can use all to increase circulation. That's what it's all about. Without circulation, there's no life. Diminished circulation is diminished life. Diminished circulation is inflammation. Inflammation is pain, right? We need to reverse all that stuff. So naprapathic medicine, attacks inflammation two ways. It attacks it manually, right? By making posture recommendations, by doing spinal manipulation, by making sure that the individual is, getting the treatments that are necessary to, sit aligned like you're trying to sit aligned right now, Kurt.
My producers are going to be like, wow, Kurt, you're sitting at such a tension.
And then we go about, anti-inflammation from a metabolic perspective, right? Food is medicine, guys, right? You are in the industry. Food is absolutely medicine.
I love that.
Our job, okay, is to eat food that is grown in restored regenerative soils from organic sources, that we can get nutrients out of it and feed this body so we can get circulation. And in the meantime, as you're getting food from regenerative, rejuvenative sources and soils, you're helping save the planet. You're helping save the soil. You're helping save the planet. So, I really think that we need to take on a lifestyle that takes care of ourselves, that takes care of the soil, that takes care of the planet, and we bring health on all levels, Kirk.
My good friend Farmer Lee Jones would be so happy to hear. That's a TikTok reel right there, by the way.
All right, let's do one, Kirk.
I love it all. I love it all. So let's move on from the deep tissue manipulation. You are also a nutritionist. You just started to touch on that a little bit.
Well, before I became a naprapath, I studied nutrition. It was in my early 20s, and I really did it mostly on experiments. I was 22, 23 years old, and I decided to become a vegetarian. Okay, it was early 70s, living in Chicago. There was really no organic stores, but it was an experiment. And I became a vegetarian, and I did it for almost 9 years. Okay. But that diet wasn't so good for me, because by about the time I was 30, my hair was starting to thin. I was starting to lose my hair. I wasn't getting the strength that I wanted. And I started looking into body types and my type and blood types. And I'm a type O blood, and I'm a Mediterranean. So my natural diet is as a carnivore, a meat eater, So, my diet, nutrition, I studied in school, but it really was a lifestyle experience for me. So, my whole 20s and 30s, I experimented on diet and fasting. And, I worked with, Patricia and Paul Bragg, who wrote all the fasting books back in the 60s and 70s. That was part of my my journey through through nutrition. And I developed products for them, and I developed products on my own just by learning and reading and sourcing and researching. So my study in nutrition is been a lifestyle, right? And book learned, but it's been a lifestyle. And, I always said, in my early 20s, I started getting into this nutrition thing. And I knew in order to have an impact out there, you had to be an example. If you can't live what you believe, you're not very convincing out there. So I've tried to live my life, in the beliefs of an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, Kirk. And, I've been doing it since the early 70s. And, it's taken me into the school. And, I don't know if I've shared this with you before. We wrote the book, Anti-Inflammatory Medicine, but Southwest University Naprapathic Medicine is in the process of getting a Master of Science in Anti-Inflammatory Medicine program to offer to individuals, and we should be able to get that project up and out by this summer.
Amazing.
So,
amazing.
To doctors, to physical therapists, to nurses, people who are working in the industry. So, it's a pretty important aspect. We treat stress, aches, and pains without drugs, Kirk, and you got to do that by reducing inflammation metabolically and manually.
How important is the daily consumption of water?
Oh God, Kirk, water is life. I mean, our body is made up of like 84% water. So, if you take a sponge and you put it on the sink and you go back tomorrow, what's the sponge look like?
Yeah. Yeah.
hard and
Yeah.
crusty.
Yeah.
If we're not taking water in and hydrating, our tissue gets hard and crusty. And remember, we talk about the neurovascular bundles that have to move throughout the body. If the tissue is dry, okay, you're not getting as good a flow as if it's nice and puffy, right? So
Got it. Yeah.
hydration is a key. It's absolutely a key. And you got to drink, that 6-8 glasses of water a day. It's not it's necessary. It's part of your intake. It's part of your your daily habit, just like stretching, just like breathing. It's
No,
pretty
no. So,
important.
so,
Yeah,
so, so happy to hear you say that. Gretchen is constantly telling me to stand up straight and drink more water,
there
water,
you
water,
go.
water,
I
water.
told you I
Yeah.
like this. I like her more all the time.
Hey, so
It's
I see sweetness back there over your right shoulder there.
yeah.
And, I don't know what I'm at liberty to discuss, but, you worked with the late great Walter Payton, Super Bowl champ from the Chicago Bears for a long time. Can
Yeah.
you talk about that? And,
Sure, I can. I mean,
oh,
Walter was a patient of mine I met Walter in 1979 when
wow.
um, I was just starting to get into naprapath school. I was doing massage out of a club in Palatine, Illinois called the Charlie Club. And Walter was a member there. And this is how I met him. I had a pair of inversion boots. And I was,
I remember those.
okay, excuse me one second. I had a pair of inversion boots. And I was in the club. I was hanging on the boots in the club. And, this guy walks up to me. I didn't know it was Walter. I mean, it was one of the first days I was there. And he just struck up a conversation and he, wanted to get the boots on and he got the boots on. And when he was hanging, I started working on his back and, he started asking me questions and told him what I was doing. And we became fast friends. And, I worked on Walter throughout his entire career. And, I'm sad and happy to say I was with him the night before he passed away, and I treated him all through his illness because he was in a lot of pain. And, I would, bring relief, to him. And he was a trusted friend. So, we had a great run together. We developed some products together, a little before our time, I might say. We developed a product called RPMs back in 1989 that was a green tea extract, caffeine-based product. And we got some slack on it back in Chicago back in the early 80s, that Walter Payton's, promoting pep pills, but it was really a phenomenal green tea extract, elixir that we formulated. And we made some products called Stay in Shape. We made a meal replacement drink. We made a sports drink before, and we made something before Power Bar came out. We had some sports, but when he passed away, the family decided not to go further, with the product line. We kind of just put that away. And it was a great effort. It was a great time, but we shut the product line down.
Beautiful, beautiful stories, great memories. Patrick, when developing a product line, whether it's with or for a major athlete or a brand like Kraft and Anheuser-Busch, what makes, in your mind, from an entrepreneurship perspective, what makes great partnerships like that work?
I mean, I think everybody's got to know their role in it, right? I
Oh,
mean, that's
yeah.
the most important thing. When I'm a subject matter expert, I bring in, even now, I'm doing that with curriculum, Kirk. I could develop curriculum for anti-inflammatory nutrition, for say. One of the things that we're going to go after is the cannabis industry and develop a cannabis pharmacopoeia to let people know how to use cannabis for anti-inflammatory purposes, for pain purposes. So you've got to know what your strength is, and in the partnership, you've got to be able to stay in those silos and support each other in those silos, Kirk. That's what I see as most important.
No, that's great. That's great feedback. Sounds like a lot of collaboration and respect is super important. Like with
Yeah.
anything, right?
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about Southwest University of Naprapathic Medicine. That's your life's work. You've been on a journey to normalize alternative medicine and starting an institution where people can receive accredited training and education is just spectacular. A huge
Yeah,
step, right?
it
So
is.
what was that road like? And the road continues, right?
Well, Kirk,
Walk us through that.
this is where you and I started. This is where our friendship started, right? I mean, this
Yeah.
is where I met Paul. I was still in Illinois, going back and forth to my office in New Mexico, my office in Lake Zurich, right? And I came to New Mexico to do a retreat center. I don't know if you remember that or not, but
Yeah,
I
sure,
I
sure.
was working with adult survivors of childhood trauma when I was in Illinois. And I moved to New Mexico. I opened a retreat center in New Mexico, and I started bringing groups of patients out there. Every other week, I would go back and forth between Chicago and New Mexico, and I'd bring a group of patients out once a month. The weeks I wasn't bringing patients out, I was treating. And I'm going to tell you the story because this is why it happened, and how Southwest University of Naprapathic Medicine happened. I would treat patients in the retreat center the weeks I was here, and this was August of 1999. I got a phone call from this gentleman who said to me, "My name is Benny. I broke my neck in a car accident. I heard you could help me. Could I come in and get some treatments?" So the next week I was there, Benny walked in my office, beautiful old New Mexican man, t-shirt, overalls, nicest guy. Started treating him, do what I do. Came in every other week, twice a week. After about 3 months, Benny walks in. This is about October. He walks in my office. He looks me in the eyes, says, "Doc," he says, "I'm sleeping through the night. I'm taking about a third of the pain medication that I was taking. I feel like I got my life back. We need to get you licensed here in New Mexico." And I thought, what the hell is Benny talking about? Well, Benny turned out to be Senator Ben Altamirano. And
Oh my
Senator
goodness.
Altamirano was the president pro tem of the Senate here in New Mexico for 34 years. And he introduced the Naprapathic Practice Act in the year 2000. And it took me 4 years to get the Practice Act passed and signed into law in 2004. So it made it possible for naprapaths to practice in New Mexico. I never thought about this to do this. So as we're at the the bill signing, Governor Richardson signing the bill into law, Benny looks at me and says, "Doc, you got to bring a school here now." And I
Okay.
thought, all right, I could do that. So I get a license for the school in 2006, and it's right when I met Paul, right? And Paul was working with where you were working, right? Career Education Corporation. And I started talking to Paul. Paul, I got a license. I got to do this. And I went and started a school. And I mean, I've never thought about anything like this before, but I knew that if I started a school, I had to get a school accredited, because that's the reason that Naprapathic never moved. There's one school in Chicago. Nobody ever accredited it. So we opened a school in 2011, graduated my first class in 2014, petitioned for accreditation in 2015, and then got accreditation from the Distance Education Accrediting Commission, making Southwest University of Naprapathic Medicine the first ever accredited school of naprapathic medicine. And now we will see the growth of this profession, because anti-inflammatory medicine and treating pain without medication is such an important piece in healthcare right now. And we can train already licensed practitioners, already licensed chiropractors and physical therapists and MDs and nurses in 18 months how to do spinal manipulation and how to use manual and metabolic therapies to help people with their suffering and pain, without drugs. So
No, I love the passion. And I was just going to ask, considering the demand for, let's say, natural treatments and preventative practices, and that becoming more mainstream in the world of medicine, You just said that the growth rate of naturopathic medicine is on the right path. How can people find out more about this field?
Well, I mean, obviously, you could take a look at my website. It's sunm.edu, sunm.edu. I have a book out. We have a couple of books out on naprapathic medicine. They're available on Amazon. It talks about the history of naprapathic medicine. It talks about, the anti-inflammatory aspects of naprapathic medicine. You can contact us at the school if you have any questions. But we're a profession that is absolutely in the right position. We're ready for prime time. The profession is 130 years old, not dissimilar to what you guys did with the Escoffier. You took a 100-year-old brand and you brought it out and made it relevant, right? We're going to do the same thing in medicine with naprapathic medicine. It's been there forever and it's been obscure and it's been hidden. But, with the accreditation and with the outreach that we have, I really feel that we're going to, see some great turns. One of our graduates, Dr. Bo Hightower, he was a chiropractor who came through this accelerated or immersive program. And he is an influencer on the internet. Dr. Hightower has 1.5 million followers on YouTube. And just 2 months ago in October, he posted a video of he and I, why he left chiropractic for naprapathic medicine. And it talks all about the anti-inflammatory aspect. And we've had almost 230,000 views since October on this. So since that has happened, we're getting more and more momentum, more and more, people looking. And now, with Escoffier and talking with you, Kirk, and bringing this out there, I have no doubt we're going to see this start to get some legs here, Kirk.
I love the momentum. So just to clarify, in terms of licensing to practice,
right,
naprapathy exists in 2 states, New Mexico, Illinois. So by attending Southwest University of Naprapathic Medicine, graduates have the ability to become licensed
in those two states.
Got it.
But already licensed practitioners, a chiropractor, a physical therapist who already has a license to do manual therapies can come through our program and add this connective tissue specialty to their license, right? Because they don't need a special license to be a naprapath, but we are going to other states to get licensed. We are introducing practice acts in other states as we speak. But we also are able to, like the states that we're going to go into and open our programs, we'll go in there with an 18-month program first to already licensed practitioners so we can develop faculty to teach our students who want to come through the full 3-year program. So, there's a big opportunity here with people who have a passion for manual medicine, have a passion for helping people without, pharmaceuticals.
Well said. Well said. I wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit again about the book. Some of this is repeat, but it's really, really important. Patrick, as you know, I'm a fortunate kidney transplant recipient, received my current kidney from my father almost 40 years ago next month.
Wow.
My dad's 86 and he's still doing great. And, inflammation for me is a real trigger, right? It's something that I know I need to control personally. It's the enemy of just staying healthy, and nutrition plays into that, as we've discussed. You mentioned, water being really, really important. I have to be super, super cognizant of what I put into my body. And in recent years, I've kind of shifted over to a plant-based, predominantly plant-based diet, which makes me feel good. So that's good. I wanted to just emphasize in the book, chapter 5 specifically resonated with me. And I just wanted to visit it one more time. There's no shortage of stress, right? And so again, in terms of the elevator speech, Patrick, it's all about being an evangelist for what you believe in. I believe in in classical cooking methods, you believe in this approach to taking care of your body. If you only had a few minutes and you were with, a governor or a senator, and you had to summarize the art of naprapathy, what would you say?
Yeah, art of naprapathic medicine is the ability to get the body to function at an ultimate level. Nerve, lymph, blood flow. Okay, that's what life is all about. Two things affect nerve, lymph, blood flow. Okay, many things, but two things in particular: what you put in your body physically and what comes at your body, emotionally, stressfully, right? So stress is a huge factor. Stress tightens people down, right? And when things are tightened down, it's like stepping on a garden hose. You step on the garden hose, the water doesn't flow real well. If you have tension in your neck or shoulders or your jaw, you're tensing down on vital veins and arteries that go in and out of the heart, that go and innervate the rest of your body. Stress is, oppressive. If you eat foods that are loaded with chemicals and sugar and additives, okay, your body has to work and fight hard to get that out of the system, which creates inflammation. And when inflammation is there, pain is there. When inflammation is there and pain is there, stiffness is there. Mobility decreases. So your quality of life is really, diminished. So you've got to get manual therapy, get nerve, lymph, blood at its optimal, opportunity to function at its best. And metabolically, it's not what you do 10% of the time, it's what you do 90% of the time. You've got to just eat well. You've got to eat foods that are alive. You've got to eat foods that people tend to and people take care of and people put love in to grow. You get that. It's nurturing. And when they do that to the soil, they are healing the planet. They're healing you. They're healing the planet. So let's get on it's 2023. Let's take care of ourselves, to take care of the soil, to take care of the planet.
Let's have the courage to do it. I love it. I love it. That is a great elevator speech. Can I just say?
Thanks, Kirk.
Patrick,
I've had 40 years to perfect it.
Yeah. Listen, before I let you go today, the name of the podcast is The Ultimate Dish. So we're talking about food. I need you to put your chef toque on right now. But in your mind, and in your life, Patrick, what is the ultimate dish?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to go back to my Italian heritage here, Kirk.
I love it. I love it.
And I just made this dish for New Year's Eve. Okay. It's my grandmother's and my mother's recipe, and it's eggplant parmesan.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, of course, you have to start with a glass of red wine.
Just to
you
kick
can't
it off.
possibly begin cooking without a glass of red wine. Eggplants, organic, sourced. Okay. You take them, you peel the skins off the eggplants.
Okay.
You peel the skins, you slice them thinly, you put them in egg dip and organic breadcrumb, and you could either flash fry or bake those. I bake them most of the time.
Okay.
And then I take them, I do 4 eggplants for a 9x14 casserole, right? So I'll slice all those eggplants. I let them drain overnight. The next morning, I take my marinara sauce. I put it down. I put the eggplant down. I use blended cheese, 4 different blended cheeses. I layer 5 times with 5 layers of cheese and, the marinara sauce in between. And egg parmesan comes on. It's magical, man.
I love it. It's like a casserole. So are you slicing the eggplant cross-section or lengthwise?
No, I am cross-section.
Cross-section. So you've got discs, right?
So perfect. They're round. And what I did for New Year's Eve, it was a big party. I either served this as a main dish, and what I did New Year's Eve is I did appetizer. I did 1x1 squares, little toothpick appetizers, and the thing goes quick, man. It's a good side dish. It's a good main dish, Kirk.
I love it. That's a beautiful way to kick off 2023. And And our chat was a great way to kick off 2023. First recording of the year. So great to see you. So happy for your success. Let's stay in touch. And thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah, Kirk, thank you. This was just really great to connect again. And please, bring your wife and come and visit. And,
we're going to get it on the calendar. Absolutely.
Let's get it on the calendar. Very good.
And give my best to Kirsten as well.
I will do it. I will absolutely do it. Take care, Kirk.
Thank you for listening to the Ultimate Dish Podcast, brought to you by Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts. Visit escoffier.edu/podcast, where you'll find any materials mentioned during the podcast, including notes, links, and other resources. You can also browse other episodes and subscribe.